Ngongotaha ki runga, pukerorua whata ki muri, te utihina, te awa e rere nei ki te rotorua nui o Kahumata Momoe. Ko te arawa te waka, ko Ngāti Whakau e te iwi, ko Ngāti te roro te rangi, ao ko Ngāti Turipuku ngā hapu, ko te Kuirau te marae, ko Rukingi a hau. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ngongotaha is the big mountain standing up in front of us. Behind is Pukerorua Whata. Just in front of the marae is Te Utihina, Te Awa, flowing gently to Rotorua, that the second lake of Kahumata Momoe. Te Arawa is the waka, Ngāti Whakauē is the iwi, the hapu at this marae is Te Roro Te Rangi and Turipuku, and Rukingi is my name. Nā reira, ngā mihi nui ki a tātou katoa.
So we're just going to focus on the land stuff first. So can you talk to the whānau whakapapa tū whenua here?
Okay, well, this part of the centre of the North Island, Te Arawa is the name of the tribal group. And Rotorua, where we are sitting right now, is in the centre of it. We have many iwi, many hapu, many marae, and Te Kuirau is right in the centre of it. It's in a village called Ohinimutu. In the late 1800s, Rotorua was surveyed and eventually settled, and the block of land which is Te Kuirau, that's the name of the block. So our marae here is named after the land, Te Kuirau. At that time, with all the surveying that was happening, whānau, hapu and iwi had to then identify who the owners are. And so in the early 1890s, there were a number of whānau applying for this block of land. One was eventually decided on our kuia, Te Tai. Her husband, her children eventually led to the creating of this marae. They had 10 children. Tarahina is the husband. Te Tai is the wife. She was the successful owner of the land. And she has a sister too. And her descendant will be talking about her after this. But the main thing was the creating of Te Kuirau Marae was made up through those families. So today we have 2 blocks of land that make up Te Kuirau Marae, and Te Kuirau is the big block, and joined onto it is Korokoro, which is another block, and we are these 2 whānau. So the creating of the marae of Te Kuirau led to where we are today. So from the late 1800s, they created this marae, eventually built and opened in 1924. And then for the next, 99 years. Next year is our 100 years, so we better do something big and happy and celebrate. But yeah, the main thing is that people must be able to connect to the land, and the land must be able to have identified people who belong to it. And at this marae Te Kuirau, we do have whānau who identify here. The ancestor meeting house is Te Roro Te Rangi that we are in, and he's the direct son of Ariari Te Rangi, which is the name of the street that you have to walk on to get onto this marae. and his father is Whatu Mairangi, who is a meeting house in a little town about 15 kilometres from here called Ngongotaha. Whatu Mairangi is his name, and his dad is Tutanekai, and his dad is Whakaue. So Ngāti Whakaue is the iwi, and just coming down those 4 generations to Te Roro Te Rangi, that's how you have all the connections with many others. Te Roro Te Rangi has a wife, and her name is Kai Matai, and she is from the 2 tribal groups around Te Puke, and they are Waitaha and Tapuika. In 2018, when we had the reopening of our marae, because we'd had renovations with the new dining room and with the ablution block, the great thing for us as a whānau at this marae was that we had the descendants of Waitaha and Tapuika who came to support the opening of the dining room, Kai Matai. And for us, the whānau who look after the marae today, had a chance to meet those families that connect through blood. So those are some of the lands, and I guess the main thing are the whakapapa connections of how we just lightly touch. What we've learned was that the creating of Rotorua, so we were kind of like nomads. We moved, we follow with the seasons and with the weather. So we moved from resource to live. And Te Tai and Tarihina, they did live here. They had children here. They even had one who died here. And that was one of the deciding factors as Te Tai as the owner. She is a descendant of Turipuku, who is a nephew of Te Roro Te Rangi. Yeah, I think we're still trying to figure out who decided when a new marae was needed. I guess the main thing was that Turipuku was the name of the wharenui that was in the block of land next door. And apparently a fire had happened and either needed a lot of improvements or rebuilt or something. Anyway, the whānau, I guess, while they had time to talk over the years, and then when Te Tai won succession to the Whenua here of Te Kuirau, it meant that they had a bigger block of land to work with, and it was specifically in her name and her children. So I think that the children, as they grew, they decided that they needed. Te Tai was recognised as the owner in 1892, 1894.
1891.
1891. And the marae was built and opened in 1924. So it took, 20 to 30 years to make that happen. So because the family, it was a big family, and the children now had grown up, they'd spread around Lake Rotorua. So we had some of the siblings live on Makoia Island. Some lived at Waititi, which is around the Ngongotaha area. Others lived at Ōwhata, which is around the other side of the lake. Others lived at Ngāpuna, which is another settlement another Māori village. So the good thing, I guess, was that how do you build a marae? So if it's an iwi, with all the resources that an iwi have access to, it becomes a lot easier than for a whānau to do the same. So I think it took maybe those 20 and 30 years for them to decide that the old marae with turipuku, they wanted a marae that can be seen as their local home for the family who now live all around Lake Rotorua. So Tarahina, because he was an ancestor identified with Te Roro Te Rangi, one of the hapu of Ngāti Whakaue, who was also an uncle of Turipuku. So they decided to change the name to Te Roro Te Rangi as the wharenui. But the nephew Turipuku is the carved figure which is standing below the Pautoko Manawa. So what is a Pautoko Manawa? Well, a Pautoko Manawa in a house, it holds the house up. So if Turipuku is at the feet of the Pautoko Manawa, that is holding up the mana of the house. So that comes back to all those ties again. So the descendants of Te Tai and Tokia have led to the building of the marae right up to the descendants who look after the marae now. And so we have lots of manuhiri coming all the time, and they just love to know and feel that we are the tangata whenua, the mana whenua from here.